Hello, this is Mr. B, and this is my Google Literature Earth project. Most recently, we discussed anthropomorphism. Anthropology is the root, and in this we talked about that you would assign human characteristics or traits to animals. And in the English language, we don't define animals typically as a he or a she nowadays. They are an it. So in science, this is generally a taboo. We don't speak about animals or insects, about how they think. So in hard science, typically we don't do such a thing. In this case, we did it for fun, and it's a good way of understanding from a metacognitive perspective how we think. Today's exercise, we're going to carry it a little bit further. We're going to discuss more about anthropology in general, and one of the fundamentals in science, pattern recognition and pattern creation. So today, you have a link that you've been provided. It'll read El Camino Real, and you'll double click on that link. That'll open Google Earth immediately. You can close any of the tips and startup suggestions that are there, and immediately your video will begin to play. What you have are 21 sites that I've loaded in. And what I did is I took the 21 sites from the Royal Highway, and these are those sites, and I loaded them into Excel. And you can see there's a nice pattern in terms of how they run from south down here to north. And I looked at the overall clustering and created a sort in Excel, and I got this. And this is a timeline for when the missions were actually finished. And it made me think that there must be something going on here historically in terms of our human behavior for why these missions were completed in the order in which they were. So your assignment is to go through all 21 missions. I've given you a little hint here that, and I say it's a hint, but it may not be a hint. I'm asking you from an inquiry perspective to tell me what patterns may have been there in terms of the behavior of the church and why these 5 missions were completed first. Then you have 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 missions next, and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. So this 5, 8, and 9, you can see the kind of zigzags back and forth. So there may have been some intent in why they were doing what they were doing. It doesn't look totally random. So you will use your Google Literature slide presentation here, and you'll go into each of the missions. I've bulleted them with a push pin. You can pause at any time, and you can also then click on, and the 360 logo will probably be the best thing for you in terms of seeing some of the overall images of each of the missions. And from there, you'll be able to continue on with your research. So this will give you the foundations for the basic locations of each of the missions. And again, each time you are able to stop and take a better look at even street level views, obviously, here through Google Earth. Kind of a neat program. So we're back here to our slideshow again. I guess it's not really a slideshow, it's a tour, isn't it? And this will continue on through 21 missions. And I'm going to fast forward just a little bit here so that we get through these in a reasonable amount of time. All 21 missions covered in a matter of seconds. So that is your Google Lit Earth assignment. You're going to go through the 21 missions and take a look at the patterns that are there and try and discover from an anthropological perspective, what is the pattern? Why did humans behave in this way. What was happening in our society, what was happening in the world at that time, who were the leaders that were in charge at each of these missions that resulted in this collective group behavior and ultimately this pattern in terms of how the 21 missions were formed. Thank you very much. This is Mr. B.